So, welcome once again, and we are studying this book, Experiencing Being. We are on. We had completed up to page 27. So today we continue. Let's move forward. We are on the heading on page 29, relationships. Yes, you would agree. Very important part of life, relationships. So the heading is relationships, and then there is a little text. No matter how sweet and wonderful your beloved is, there will always be shortcomings. Roses always come with thorns. Be happy. So I think Master is reminding us here that no one is perfect. So there are people that you love. Yes. Now those people are also not perfect. Like you are not perfect, they are also not perfect. Like you are allowed to be imperfect, they are also allowed to be imperfect. Now, the thing is that unfortunately, when we, in our relationships, like it is often said, we are good lawyers for ourselves and good judges for others. We tend to judge other people, always put them under microscope and especially focus on their shortcomings. जो उनमें कमी होती है, कमजोरी होती है, उस पर somehow हमारा ध्यान ज्यादा जाता है. So that is what Master is talking about here, that there will be thorns, but there is the rose. It is beautiful and it has nice fragrance. You know, that is why people like rose flower, because it is very pretty. It is very beautiful. So appreciate the positives and accept the shortcomings. And when Master says thorns, what he is also telling us is that sometimes that person will cause us pain. Like when you hold a rose and if there is a thorn, the thorn may prick you and it may give you little pain. So some pain, some emotional injury may be caused. Or let us even say it is inevitable because nobody is perfect, right? So those imperfections are like the thorns. So, I mean, sort of accept it as inevitable because nobody is perfect. So, and also I would suggest to you that if you see from an objective, balanced point of view, you will find that the beauty, the fragrance, the positive aspect of that person or of the rose is much, much, much more than the few shortcomings. So, the master says, be happy. What is he saying? Don't focus on the thorns, focus on the positives. And the positives are always much, much more, much higher, much greater than the negatives or the shortcomings. So, if you focus on the positives, it will lead to a great amount of happiness. If you focus on the thorns, it will mean a reduction in the happiness. So, what is the smart thing to do? The smart thing to do is to always be aware, number one, that the person has plus and minus points. Number two, the pluses are much, much more than the minuses. Number three, I should always think first of the positive pluses and then the minuses. You understand plus minus, the good points and the shortcomings. You remember in the previous one, we talked about, when you have to say something harsh, touch your heart. I mean, not harsh, but when you have to say something firmly, touch your heart. Think of five good things about that person first, and then you can say one, two, or three shortcomings you can point out, but you have to do it lovingly. So, same thing I think Master is pointing to over here as well. Okay, let's move on. Page 31, the first sutra. Like quality energy attracts like quality energy. Loving kindness attracts loving kindness. Anger and hatred attract anger and hatred. So it's our choice. What do you want to attract in your life? In a specific relationship or in general, what kind of relationships you want to, what kind of people you want to have relationships with. So it will depend on the kind of energy I have. If my energy is very, very negative, I will tend to attract people who have very negative energy. This is one of the key principles of energy. Like energies attract. In magnetism, it is the opposite. Opposite poles will attract. You remember? I don't know if you've done a little bit of physics. North pole will be attracted by South pole and vice versa. But when we talk about energies, especially emotional energies, like energies attract. So you will see that always, in a larger collection of people, small groups will form. And those groups are people with similar energy. They somehow find each other. It's through energy that they find each other. So it is my choice. What do I want to attract in my life? What kind of relationships? What kind of relationships with people who are already in my life? And in my life, what kind of people I want to attract? This is also one of the key principles of pranic psychotherapy. I hope you have done, or at least you are aware of it. In pranic psychotherapy, we use electric violet to clean and energize. Why do you think we use electric violet? Because the negative thoughts and emotions are completely opposite of electric violet. Electric violet is divine energy. So the energy of that, once you put that into a chakra, then there is no space for the negative energies, negative emotions and thoughts to remain in that chakra. Are you understanding? So like energies attract and opposite energies repel. So that is why we use electric violet in pranic psychotherapy. And this one statement, like energies attract and opposite energies will repel. Think about it. Think about it. Really think about it. Apply it to every aspect of your life. And I am telling you, this statement itself can be completely life transforming. Yeah. Anger and hatred attract. You see, there is also another saying. Again, this is something you can remember. A master says it, I don't remember the exact words, but somewhere he says that love binds. Love binds. And anger or hatred, it chains. So the worst thing you can do is to constantly be angry at somebody or to have hatred towards somebody. Why? Because you are again forming a very, very strong energy bond. It's like a chain. You are now chained to that person. So, not a good idea, not a smart idea. All right. Okay, let's move on. Sutra number 2. If you choose a person with good karma to share your life will tend to be prosperous. Beautiful. So, prosperity is, the master is reminding us that prosperity is based on good karmic account balance. And when you share your life means as a spouse or somebody very, very, very close to you, like you're sort of living your life together, then the karma gets shared. You will also get the benefit of that person's karma. And it's not only, when we say prosperous, prosperity has many forms. In India, we have Lakshmi ji, Devi Lakshmi as the, or Goddess Lakshmi as the symbol, or the, so yeah, she symbolizes prosperity. So Lakshmi ji has many forms, Rupa. There are, some people say 9 roops, some people say 11 roop, etc., etc. You can look it up. I think taken a lecture on it also some time back. If you are interested, just message me and I will send you the link to that. And there are many, many forms of prosperity. So if you want a smooth life, not just, money, but many other comforts and conveniences in life, then your karma and the karma of your good karma of your partner will be helpful. Okay. The closer you will read the next two sutras together, the closer you interact with the person, the more psychological friction you will experience. Try rubbing your hands together. There is friction. Shall we try it? If you move your hands like this, no friction. Hands are moving without effort. And if you put your hands together, they are touching each other, and now you move your hands, there is friction and there is some heat being reduced. Correct? You want to do this and see? In a relationship, the lubricant is love. You see, so what master, why he's saying lubricant? Now, if here you put some oil or, some nice cream or something that is smooth, then, or something that is lubricating, then if you move your hands again, the friction will be much less heat will be produced. So in a relationship, the lubricant is love in the form of loving thoughts, loving feelings, loving words, and loving actions. You need to have more loving kindness and greater understanding. So this is very, very realistic and very practical guidance that we are getting from Master Chiva. First thing we have to understand is that if you are in close interaction with anybody, I mean, one of the closest interactions, of course, is with your spouse, but even with your parents, with your siblings, your brothers and sisters, if you have children, with your children, and etc., with very close friends, expect friction, expect problems, expect differences in opinions. There may be areas of disagreement. There may even be areas of conflict. Inevitable. Just remember, when you rub your hands together, that is what is going to happen. But there is a solution. What is the solution? Use lubrication. What is the lubrication? That also Master has said. The lubricant is love. Now, here, what you have to understand is that love is not just a state of mind. It is a verb. It constitutes action. You have to love. And for that, Master has explained loving thoughts. So, in your thoughts, project love. In your feelings, loving feelings. Words, speak the words you speak to the other person. The actions towards the other person, they have to be full of love. Because this becomes an opportunity to evolve. It becomes an opportunity to grow psychological muscles, emotional, mental muscles. It becomes a way to overcome the conflict or the disagreement or the friction, which is inevitable. There, in that you have no choice. The only choice is, will you use lubrication or not? If you don't use lubrication, the friction will keep generating more and more heat. Just try. Keep rubbing your hands, more and more heat as you keep doing this. But you put some lubrication, it doesn't matter how much you rub, not so much heat. Yeah. So just remember, love is a verb. Love means action, loving action. Action meaning, of course, mental, emotional, verbal, and physical. Yeah. The last sutra on the page. A difficult relationship helps the individual to develop patience, tolerance, and forgiveness. You see, this again is a super, super important sutra. I think really think about it, because this is, if you are able to understand this and internalize it, then in your close relationships, when there are problems, you see, that is inevitable. होंगी तो सही, problem तो होगी ही. ये तो आप मान के चलो, आज नहीं तो कल, कल नहीं तो परसों, somewhere down the line you will have some friction, some disagreement, some conflict. If you have this in the back of your mind, it will help you reconcile. It will help you address the situation, the conflict, the disagreement with a positive mindset. You see, what you have to understand is that, number one, there is some past karma why you are encountering this relationship and the problem in the relationship. Secondly, you, the soul, have before taking birth already yourself decided that yes, in this lifetime, I want this relationship and I want this difficulty, and I have to, use it to learn some lessons and pass some tests. There is no one else I can blame for this. So, if I will see it as an opportunity to evolve, to develop, to see it as a test that I must pass, then it will make it much easier for me to deal with the situation. Yeah? Shall we move on? Page 32. Verbally repeating the mistake of a person is nagging. Nagging does not work. You see, overall, you will find in the guidance that Master has given in the book, there are do's and there are don'ts. So, this is a strong don't. Don't nag. You see, we nag because we believe that, oh, what I'm saying is right, or, what I'm saying is absolutely right, and the other person is making a mistake. And if I keep saying it again and again and again, sometime that person will accept the lesson. Doesn't seem to work. You see, being right in a situation like this is not so important. What is more important is what the emotional effect on the person is due to your nagging. And sometimes it can cause irritation, extreme irritation. It can damage the other person's self esteem. Are you understanding? What is the effect it is having on that person's energy body? If you keep putting criticism or keep saying negative things, what is going to happen? It is going to affect the other persons. You see, your words also have energy, your thoughts have energy, your emotions. So you are transferring that energy to that person repeatedly, and that is not helpful. Think about, or I'm moving forward. Sutra number 2. Think about all the nice things your partner has done for you. Be kind in your interactions. You remember the heading of this section? Rose, thorns, yes? So, unfortunately, Master is needing to tell us this because we tend to remember, we tend to focus more on the thorns and less on the good aspects of the rose. And you see, when we are talking about here, Master says your partner. Partner means very, very close relationship. In a sense, we can say it is a karmic bond. The soul, you, the soul, and that person, the soul, in your before you took birth, you have decided that yes, we need this relationship because we need to undergo some tests. We need to develop some muscles, not physical, emotional, and mental muscles. So there is no option to just cut and move on. I mean, there is an option, but it's not a wise thing to use that option. Why? Because then if you just bypass or you ignore the lessons that are possible, then it will come to you either later in this life or in another lifetime. You see, because you have chosen this, you must go through it. You must be successful. Once you have been able to, overcome the problems in the relationship, and for that, Master has said, think of all the nice things the person has done. Don't just think about the negatives. Don't just think about what he has should have done but has not done. You see, unfortunately, we tend to focus more on that. So he's saying, don't. Always good things. And remember, always, the good things are much, much, much more than the negatives, the bad things, etc. Unfortunately, we seem to take the good things for granted. We just assume, yeah, of course, this you had to do. I mean, what is the big thing? You had to do this. But no, we must appreciate the good things. Again, it comes back to the last thing we did in the previous section. 5 good things before 1, 2, or 3 negative things. Yeah. Do we have time? We are okay. Let's do one more sutra. Relationship problems are like hurricanes. They come and they go. So beautifully Master Choha explains things. So, what he is trying to tell us is that, it's like a storm. It will come, but, it will not stay forever. The storm will come, cause some damage, go away. So, be prepared is really what I think I understand from this. We need to be prepared. Prepared in the sense, number one, we should try to prevent. And number two, we should protect against damage. You see, when a storm comes, it comes and it goes. But in between, while it was there, it has caused some damage. Maybe some trees are uprooted, some houses are damaged, some cars are damaged, etc., etc. Some windows get broken. All those things happen. So if we can, let us try to prevent. And if what we cannot prevent, at least, let us try to repair the damage. So the point I think is number one, that do not be too upset or overwhelmed when they occur. And number two, expect them, prepare for them. And you see why they happen in relationships. My understanding is that, there are two people are in a relationship. Each of them has imperfections. Each of them is practicing tolerance, to each other. Both are imperfect. Both have to practice tolerance to each other. Now, over time, the emotional, negative emotions, they build up. You see, as pranic healers, we know how to get rid of the negative emotions. Yes, you know how to get rid of negative emotions. For example, forgiveness, for example, through the meditation on twin hearts, for psychotherapy, so many methods. But the other person may not be a pranic healer or may not be a practicing pranic healer and may not know how to disintegrate or how to get rid of that energy. So, it's like a pressure cooker situation. Steam is building up, then there is a release. So that's release is necessary. So that release happens and then the person goes back. Now, at that time, the important thing is not let it cause permanent damage to this relationship. You see, that is what is important. At least that is how I think it is. I think we can stop our session today.